Welcome to the Weather Insights Podcast. I'm meteorologist Scott Pitney along with meteorologist Jeff Lindner. We were recording this podcast on Wednesday, June 26th. And Jeff, it's been a few days off for us on the podcast because we haven't had anything active. But just like that is typical this time of year, the tropics are active again. We're now looking at two systems. National Hurricane Center's got their eye on one system in the Caribbean that has a 20% chance of development in the next 7 days. That system not looking too good right now, but I know you're going to cover that in detail. But what is looking a little more robust is the one in the southern Atlantic basin, which has now a 40% chance of development in the next 7 days. And I know we have some Saharan dust out there, which of course inhibits tropical cyclone development, but NHC doesn't really feel that that's going to be much of an inhibitor. What is your take on these two systems, Jeff?
Yeah, so here's system one. This is what we're calling, the Hurricane Center is calling 94L, this kind of sharp tropical wave axis here that's been moving through the Caribbean. You can see a little bit of scattered showers and thunderstorms with it, maybe some squalls on the north side, but I'll show you in just a second that there's just not a lot at the surface down here. And this moving off to the west at 25, that's probably what's causing a lot of the inability for this to close off, is that fast forward motion. And then this is the wave axis down here around 30 west that is getting a lot of attention today. And we'll see. There's a lot of model guidance suggestive of development as this gets in here east of the islands late this weekend. We'll see. It's early down in this area for things to develop. As you mentioned, there's some dry air coming off of Africa and some dust to the north of it, but the guidance seems to think that the wave axis itself is going to be kind of in a pocket of moisture down there that doesn't get affected a lot by the dust. So we'll see. So again, this is 94L, the wave axis. You can see a little bit of turning here on the north side, just a sharp wave axis, some gusty winds, but there's just no west wind down here to close this off. As a matter of fact, you see these little arc clouds or boundaries. These are outflow boundaries moving out away from the circulation. So this is not a healthy tropical system. And the big question down the road here is, how much does this interact with the landmass of Central America? If it comes in a little further south and goes inland, like the GFS is thinking and its ensembles, we're not going to see development with this. If it stays a little further north, comes across Yucatan, gets out here in the southern Gulf of Mexico and the Bay of Campeche, like the European is showing in its ensembles, there's a chance, low chance, it could try to develop here in the southern Gulf of Mexico this weekend. I don't think there's much of a chance of this developing between here and, say, the Yucatan Peninsula, just because there's just not a lot of time. It's running out of room. And you can see here what I was talking about. You can see these wind barbs are all out of the east. There's no west wind anywhere down here at the surface, and that's what you're looking for in these tropical waves here, is a westerly wind. Certainly not uncommon this time of year in the Caribbean. Eastern Central Caribbean, we have trade wind divergence, so the winds speed up and that spreads out the wind at the surface. That's opposite of what you kind of look for tropical cyclone formation. And so it's just really not favorable this time of year down here in the Central and Eastern Caribbean. They either have to kind of develop before they get here, or they wait until the Western Caribbean or the Gulf of Mexico, where the trade winds slow down, you get convergence and kind of the air and moisture pile up. And that kind of helps maybe spin up something. So we'll see. Again, low chance for development here, something just to keep an eye on. But it's interesting that late June, we're already this active down in this area.
Right. Yeah.
And this is some of the ensembles here on the European. This is, the European for Saturday morning. And you can see this, it's a little bit more aggressive here with the wave in the Gulf. It does have some members showing some development. And then really picking up on the wave out at 30 west as it gets in here southeast of the Windward Islands. Going to really have to keep an eye on this. And the GFS ensembles, virtually no development here. Again, it kind of keeps this wave in the Western Caribbean closer to Central America. But again, this signal is popping here west of the islands as we get into late this weekend. So this may be the one that we're going to have to keep a close eye on. If you have interest down here in the Windward or Leeward Islands, the Eastern Caribbean, you need to be keeping an eye on this as we come up toward the weekend here.
Yeah, and it's got to, of course, clear that northern coast of South America, which it is moving in that general direction is a little hard to tell without a center right now, but the overall system is. So we'll see what happens when it gets, if it does get any further past the Leeward Islands, what it actually does. Jeff, thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Of course, you can subscribe to our Weather Insights YouTube channel. Just click on the subscribe button. Also, share it with your friends and family so they can stay in touch with the latest in the tropics. And be sure to join us on the next Weather Insights podcast.